Hello and welcome to this episode of Hampton Roads Business Live. My name is Rory Graham. I'm your host, and today we have Jeremy Domozick from the Domozick Law Firm here in Virginia Beach. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Why don't you give us an overview of your law firm? I know all law firms specialize in certain things, they're a little different and all. So tell us about your firm.
Well, my firm was founded on the premise that we wanted to be a little bit more flexible and affordable than a lot of the bigger firms in the area. Provide legal services that people need but couldn't necessarily get from a more expensive and less flexible practice. We really specialize or practice in four main areas: estate planning, business law, debt settlement, and civil litigation.
Okay, and you have an office in Virginia Beach, right?
Yes, we do.
Yes, okay. Where in Virginia Beach?
We're at 101 North Lynnhaven Rd. It's right behind the Beach Ford car dealership in between.
Well, that's a good landmark.
Yeah.
Everybody knows where that is.
Exactly. Easy to find.
Easy to find. Okay, so let's just start with the first one you mentioned, estate planning. Mm-hmm. So what is involved with estate planning? First of all, what is it, and who's a candidate for that?
When you talk about estate planning, the first thing that most people think of is doing a will. We get a lot of clients that come into us and say, hey, I want to put together my will, I haven't done it yet, or mine's out of date. Something could happen to me tomorrow and I'd be left with this, kind of mess. And we agree that people should have a will or a trust and an updated version at that, but I think estate planning goes a little beyond that. It doesn't just include your will, but it also includes things like a power of attorney and an advance medical directive. And those are documents that they basically appoint somebody to take care of you, your finances, your medical decisions in the event that you're unable to. I like to tell my clients when they come in and say, they'll say, hey, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow and pass away and I wouldn't have this will. And I say, yeah, or you could get hit by a bus tomorrow and be just fine, but you're laid up in the hospital for a few weeks. So who's going to take care of your personal, financial, and business affairs? Who's going to make your medical decisions, while you're in the hospital if you're unable to do so?
Is that like a living will? Is that the same thing?
Part of your medical directive is what's called a living will, which is basically the end-of-life scenario. If you're comatose and the only thing keeping you alive are machines and tubes and artificial means, what do you want to have happen? The advanced medical directive gives the person the ability to not only appoint somebody to make the decision on what happens, but it tells them ahead of time exactly what decision that they want them to make, whether it's to go ahead and pull the plug or continue on for some time.
I think I'd want the Energizer Bunny and keep me going. So anyway. Okay, so that takes all the guesswork out of it. So you're not left, you get to appoint who's making those decisions for you, and what happens to everything afterwards with a will. Exactly.
If you pass away without a will, then essentially somebody else is going to decide how your estate is divided up. The state has certain laws regarding that. It may end up in court in front of a judge who might have to decide how your assets should be divided. But this way, if you've got a will or a trust, you've made that decision on where your assets go, who gets them, who gets how much, and who's ultimately responsible for making sure that they get there.
Is there tax implications for having a will too?
There can be. Certainly, with a will or even more so a trust, you can really avoid a lot of the costs that you might have to otherwise go through. Taxes, that's going to depend on an individual situation, but for any estate, having a will is going to make it much less costly to handle your estate, and having a trust will almost entirely eliminate the cost of handling your estate.
Okay, all right, and you do both?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, so now let's move to your second category, business law.
Mm-hmm. One of our biggest areas of practice is our business law practice. And when I talk about business law, I mean everything from helping somebody set up their corporation or LLC, form their company, to drafting contracts and agreements, whether it be between them. It could be a commercial lease agreement with a shopping center that they're going to open a storefront in. It could be a contract with subcontractors or vendors that they use. We'll help them with employment matters. If they've got a key employee that they need to do a non-compete with, we can put that together for them. And at the end of the day, if they want to sell their business, whether it's selling out to a partner or a third party, we can assist them with those transactions as well. So we really try to be a one-stop shop for our business owner clients.
Okay, and are the businesses small businesses, large businesses, both? Or?
We've worked with everything from a single person at-home business to multi-million-dollar companies and everything in between. I feel that our real sweet spot, if you want to call it that, with businesses is on the smaller business end. Most of our business clients are one or two owner businesses, maybe a husband and wife team, the quote-unquote mom and pop shop type of business. We have a lot of consultant type businesses that they don't have a storefront, they work from their home, but they need a corporation formed or documents drafted and things of that nature. What I like to tell our business clients is that we're a small business too, so we understand. It wasn't that long ago that I started up the Domozick Law Firm, so I understand what it's like to have to start a business from scratch and get it going. And I understand the costs and the challenges and everything else that goes into it. And so we want to be there to help them get through at least the legal part of it the best that we can.
Right. Okay, so now the next category we're going to talk about is debt settlement. And this is something that you do with individuals?
Yes. Debt settlement is particularly with the economy, particularly with what we went through with the economy recently, debt settlement's become a very large area. There's a lot of commercials on TV and the radio and everywhere else advertising these debt settlement services. What we do is we help people try to settle their outstanding unsecured debts for less than what they actually owe. And we try to help them avoid bankruptcy if that's the direction that they're headed in.
Okay. And is there a difference between you and these companies that you see on TV?
I believe so. First of all, when you're working with a local attorney, there's a certain added level of service that you just can't get through calling a 1-800 number to some company out in California someplace. For example, first of all, you can actually come to our office, sit down with myself or another attorney, and ask all the questions that you want to ask, and we'll sit there and answer them. Furthermore, if any of your debts should end up resulting in litigation at some time, you've got attorneys that can assist you with that litigation, whereas most of these settlement companies, they want no part of it. And finally, the way we do the fees is a lot different from these other companies. These other companies will generally charge 3 separate fees. They'll charge you an upfront legal fee, they'll charge you a monthly kind of maintenance or administrative fee, and then they'll charge you additional settlement fees every time they settle a debt. And between the 3 fees, that can really affect your chances of being able to effectively settle your debts in a timely manner. We charge a flat monthly fee based upon the amount of money that you're putting into the program to settle your debts. So you know up front exactly what your fee is going to be, you know exactly how we calculate it, and more importantly, that means that you're building up these funds in your settlement account from day one, because our fees just come out a little bit at a time over the course of your settlement program, as opposed to many of these other companies who take large chunks out at the beginning, and then you start building up your settlement fund later on.
So you could spend months and not put anything towards the debt.
Exactly. With some of these other companies, that's exactly what happens. People will be 5, 6, 9 months into the program, and they haven't singled a settled debt because there's no money in their account. Whereas with us, as you're tucking money away into this account that we set up for you, you're building up your funds from day one with only, like I said, a small fee coming out each month to cover our services.
All right. And then your firm also does civil litigation.
That is correct. We handle a wide range of civil issues, anything from landlord-tenant matters to debt collection to contract disputes. We've taken cases, for example, involving even home repair contractors or auto mechanics, whether it's a consumer who got a bad deal from one of these shady contractors promising a whole lot, taking their money and running, and then the homeowner has to go out and pursue them. Or on the other side, if we've represented companies who performed work and maybe didn't get paid properly by the insurance company or the homeowner. So we handle both sides of any of these issues.
Okay. All right. And you do that through, I guess, communicating with them as their legal representative and possibly taking them to court?
Absolutely. When the client comes to see us for the first time, they'll sit down with myself or another attorney and we'll review their case in full. Let them basically tell us their story, what happened, give us the details. We'll ask lots of questions, and then we'll give them our honest opinion. What do we think the chances are of resolving this? And generally, we're not a sue first, can ask questions later type of firm. We like to try to, in order to save the client time and money, frankly, we like to reach out and try to settle these things if that's in the best interest of the client and if we can do that. So generally, we'll start with a letter to the opposing side, see if we can engage in dialogue and work something out. But if we can't, or if the results are not what the client deserves, then we'll look at filing a lawsuit and possibly taking it to trial.
I see. All right. And I know that you offer free consultation. Is that with all of these services?
Absolutely. We always offer free consultations. All somebody has to do is call the office and they can get on the calendar. We're very flexible in our appointment scheduling. Our main office hours are 9 to 5, but we certainly have evening and weekend appointments available. By appointment, of course. We can even do phone consultations if we have people who currently live out of the area. So, for example, we've handled a number of cases for military members who used to be stationed here in Virginia. They've got a rental property here and some problem tenants, but now they live down in Florida or out in California. They need an attorney here, so we can communicate with them over the phone and via email because it's long distance.
And then when we talked the other day, you were telling me about your billing system, which is a bit different than most. So you want to go over that a little bit? Tell us what's unique about that.
One of the biggest differences between us and a lot of other firms is the way we do our billing. We believe in a flat fee billing system. Most attorney firms, when you become a client, they're going to bill you hourly, generally somewhere from $200 an hour plus. They'll ask you to commit a certain amount of money as a retainer, from anywhere from a couple to several $1,000s. And as they work, they bill against that. They bill hourly, they'll bill for copies they make, their paralegals' time, phone calls, parking fees, and that's
anything they can think of.
Right, and don't get me wrong, they generally disclose all this up front, so so the client shouldn't be surprised. But at the same time, a lot of people aren't comfortable with that arrangement because you're never quite sure how much you're going to end up spending. On the majority of the matters that we handle, we're able to do a flat fee arrangement where we'll tell the client up front, here's what you're going to pay from start to finish. In the case of, say, one of our civil litigation disputes, we'll quote somebody 2 fees. Look, if we can resolve this without going to court, here's what you'll pay. If we have to go to court, there'll be an additional fee of X number of dollars. And that way they know up front what they're going to pay. They don't get a surprise bill in the mail, or every time they call us and we spend 15 minutes chatting with them. Exactly. They don't get another bill for a 15-minute conversation. And that way, too, the attorneys don't have to be concerned about their billable hours. Oh, am I billing enough to this client or enough to that client? Well, no, you just work until the job is done. And the client already knows what they're going to pay. That way, too, we can also work out a payment arrangement if that's appropriate. Right. A lot of clients, particularly if you've got somebody who's, if they've got a claim against another party, so for example, in the landlord-tenant, you've got somebody who's renting out their house, the tenant hasn't paid rent in 2 months, well, they're already out the rent money, now they got to pay an attorney too. That can be a large load to bear. So what we'll do many times is break up our fee into multiple payments. That way it makes it more affordable for them, and we can stretch out those payments over the life of the matter, right, and make it more affordable for them, and that way they can get the legal help that they need.
Okay, well that sounds really interesting. So we've got estate planning, business law, debt settlement, and civil litigation. Free consultations and flexible payments.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's a whole nutshell, right? Did I leave anything out?
I don't think so. you know, the one thing that I like to tell our prospective clients is that we're going to give it to them straight. I mean, if somebody comes to us and says, Jeremy, do I have a case? And I don't think they have a case, I'm going to tell them. You know, I'm sorry, I just don't think that you have a good chance of succeeding in this case. Or realistically, I think this is what you could expect to receive in a settlement offer. Or if we're going to do a will or a business setup formation. Here's how long it's going to take, and here's how much it's going to cost you, and this is what you get when you're done. So we try to provide all the options and information to our clients up front before they ever pay a fee. And then when they walk out of their office, they'll know exactly what to expect and how much they're going to have to pay.
Well, that's certainly reasonable. Can't argue with that. So, all right. Well, if you have a legal matter that you would like some legal advice, free consultation here in Virginia Beach or any of the Hampton Roads area, you can give Jeremy a call. The contact information is at the end of this video, and it's also on this page. And I thank you for coming in and visiting with us today, and I wish you a lot of success.
Well, thank you. It was great to be here.
Thank you.